Hello and welcome to Inside Northern State University. I'm Dr. Tim Downs, President of Northern State. We're pleased to have with us today three distinguished gentlemen that are going to talk to us about what's happening at Northern State. First we'll start with Dr. LaFave, who's our Provost, longstanding faculty member and former Dean. Our Athletic Director, Mr. Josh Moon, and one of our distinguished faculty members and Professor of Management, Dr. Doug Ohmer. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so well, this is, as you know, this show is all about, let's tell the world about what's happening at Northern, as we affectionately call it. And we have all three of you to tell us from different perspectives of what's happening at Northern. It's an exciting time of the year. We've gotten through 2 weeks, and then the students had a 3-day break, as did all of us. Well, except if you're in athletics, there was events every day pretty much with games and sports and planning for this coming opening football game. But we had a 3-day break where we could kind of take a deep breath, and the students came back. I saw a lot of students today. They're all excited. They're full of energy, and this is the 3rd week of instruction. So I really have good feelings about where we are with this academic year. So we're pleased to have all of you, and so we'll just start to ask you some general questions, and you can embellish. Let us know what's happening in your respective areas. I'd like to start off today with Dr. Ohmer, and just tell us a little bit about maybe the Faculty Senate, and maybe if people don't understand, maybe you could tell us what is a Faculty Senate,
okay.
Because it seems like a mysterious, is this august body of people that are decision makers on behalf of the faculty, but maybe you can give us a sense of what that is.
All right. Well, we like to think that we're in an august body, but most of us are just faculty on campus, and Faculty Senate serves as the opportunity for faculty to participate in the governance of the university,
right,
to help make decisions, give advice and counsel to the administration, and as well as to primarily the responsibility is to oversee the development of the curriculum
right
on the campus.
Okay. Yeah.
And so Faculty Senate is made up of 12 faculty members. 8 of those are required to be from the 4 schools, so 2
okay,
for each of the fine arts and science and education and business.
right.
The other 4 serve at large and represent all faculty across campus.
Okay. So it's a good cross section.
Yeah.
So you and I have met with the Senate, and as I explained, the ideas from a campus, especially when you talk about the curriculum, ideally comes from the faculty.
Right. It should be a bottom-up process,
right,
with new ideas for whether it be a new major or minor or simply a new course
sure,
to be offered.
Sure. And I think that's really productive, because the faculty are the ones who are going to teach the courses. So
right.
Coming up with a concept for maybe a new major, a new minor, a set of courses, or maybe some courses that could be a partnership course. Maybe it's history and economics, because I think there's a big crossover between the two.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
they can co-teach courses, or maybe they want to make sure if the students are taking one course, then they learn about the other course, and that's what we get, the integrative thinking experience and learning.
Right, and particularly when you have courses or majors that are developed where you share courses between the different schools, say between fine arts and business.
Right.
That's where the Faculty Senate really plays its role. So we want to make sure that there's no duplication of effort,
sure,
or we're eliminating or forgetting about a prerequisite for a course that a student might have to take and add unnecessary hours to graduation.
Right. So it's a team sport, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll bring athletics into it. It's a team sport, because we're all here just to make sure that our students are learning, and that they're starting to get the integration of learning and seeing how the different courses and content and topics start to interrelate. That's what a big piece of college is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. So the Senate's up and running.
We're up and running. We had a sort of mini meeting on the 15th of August, right as in-service week started, where we appointed a lot of basically volunteer faculty to different committees that Faculty Senate oversees.
Right.
And those committees will meet throughout the year and help make decisions across campus.
Good.
Our first big meeting will be in 2 weeks, Monday in 2 weeks, where we will look over any curriculum suggestions that have come in,
Okay.
and plus a pretty standard agenda, updates from you and the provost and
Right.
what's
So,
going on campus.
right, so myself and the provost will come in, and the deans can be engaged with the Senate. So we're
Right.
all kind of sharing that same vision.
Exactly. So it's a
Yeah.
way for the faculty to keep administration informed about what they're thinking, and as well for the administration to keep the faculty informed
Yeah.
of what's going on.
Right. You know, it's a time-tested model. It works differently at all institutions, but I'm really impressed with the Senate, and I think that there's a great sense of dialogue, and that's all we have to do to make sure we're moving things in the right direction to
Yep.
really just benefit our students.
Yeah, that's what's critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep the students happy, keep them here, and keep them coming.
And you're the president of the Senate, and
Right.
And how many years have you done that?
I've been on Senate, well, as president, this is my first year as president,
Okay.
but I've served on Senate for 8 years.
Okay, so you're a veteran.
Yeah, in many ways.
Yes. Okay, that sounds fair. That sounds
was-
fair.
I felt, when you say veteran, I felt very old on the first day of class this semester. Walked into the class and introduced myself and said I've been teaching for 22 years, and they all started to snicker because most of them are younger than 21 in the class.
I know. You started teaching and they weren't born yet.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
I have, in one class, I have one student that was born in 1995, and all the rest are even more recent than that.
Absolutely. Well,
And I started in 94.
that's okay. The experience is very much needed on every campus. So thanks for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
When we look at the whole campus experience, we have Mr. Moon here as our athletic director. I look at athletics, and we've described it on the previous shows, as one of the front porches to the university. It's very visible. There's a lot of activity. The community is very supportive of Northern athletics. The programs are phenomenal. The student athletes do a great job in the classroom as well as on whatever playing surface or water sport that they're involved in. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about student athletes, Mr. Moon, and what they experience as student athletes at Northern.
Thank you. Yeah, our athletic program, we have 15 sports, NCAA Division II, and we have just over 375 student athletes. So a nice range of students from all over the country and over the world in some cases. Our primary base is South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota. I'd say 40 to 50% of our students are from those areas. And then we bring in, like I said, from all over the country, Washington, California. We even have student athletes from Spain, Netherlands, Australia this year. So a great thing about Northern is we can attract students from all over the world and watch them excel. And then the community can watch these students excel, in their chosen sport. And then obviously the first goal is getting a degree, and they've done a very good job in the classroom and working with our great faculty on campus and getting internships and then excelling when they graduate here. That's what we like to see.
And the thing about student athletes that I've seen in various phases of my career is their lives are so busy. So they have their academic life, they have their sport world that they live in and all the practicing and performance, and then they also just get to be a college student. But they do sacrifice some because the sport and the academy comes first or second, second or first, but hopefully they're both equally important. But then it doesn't leave as much leeway to have extracurricular time. But I think the students that I've met, they've been very focused and they really do well academically. We've seen that at Northern.
And I think that's the neat thing about Division II is you have a little more balance than maybe the Division I student athletes, where you can get involved in student leadership positions or some, the business club or some of these, even getting into fine arts. We've had student athletes get into fine arts and be involved in musicals and plays and things like that. So I think that's another selling point for us is you can really get involved. We had 2 years ago, we had the student body president was an athlete. So we encourage that to get involved, and I think that's what sets us apart versus some of our competition is we can, a small campus, you can get involved in a lot of different things, and then academically, we just finished with a 3.4 GPA as a student body population. So
Wow.
so that's I think tells you that our coaches are recruiting the right kind of students that are serious about getting their degrees and hopefully being leaders in the classroom. When they walk in there, they're answering questions. They're in the front row. They're hopefully helping other students to rise up and excel.
So their work as athletes bleeds over into their work as students. They're just disciplined young people.
That's the goal, yes.
That's great. So if you were going to state a goal for all of our student athletes, what do you think that would be, just in general terms?
Well, the first thing is graduate. We want them to leave here with a degree, and most of them leave here in 4 or 5 years. So we want to have we call it a championship experience, and it's academically, reach all your goals academically, a high GPA, get involved in internship opportunity. So they leave here, walk in the interview, and they can just dominate that interview. I think that's, they're competing in that interview setting when they're going out in the marketplace. And then athletically, we want them to win a championship and get to the goal of NCAA postseason competition. We've seen continued success from our athletic side, so I think that's another goal is we want them to be champions and then get involved in the community. And you mentioned how great the Aberdeen region is here, supportive of Northern. So we want to give back into the schools and some of the nonprofits that we've done here, and so they can realize when they leave Northern, they're civically engaged. They go out and have that understanding that they do have a big impact on the community.
Yeah, and they do, because when athletes go out into the community, whatever age level, whether it's pre-K, K, 8th grade, 12th grade, people look up to them as this is someone that's succeeding in the classroom and in their extracurricular. And the student athletes I've met are just great role models. So we put them into the schools, and then they serve as role models for the people in the region to aspire to be like them. And that's a pretty powerful impact on our communities. So that's good. That's good to hear that's happening.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I guess if we could say, if we painted a picture of the Northern House, we're actually situated on a corner. And on the other side of the corner, facing, maybe we could say 12th Street, is the Johnson Fine Arts Center. So we have really 2 front porches to the university, which are very visible, and the fine arts is just a phenomenal resource for Aberdeen and the region, bringing performances that are from outside the region, as well as our students being able to showcase their abilities and their skills and all the talents that they've been developing as students. So the Johnson Fine Arts Center is kind of at this critical juncture right now. I know, Dr. LaFave, you've been involved in the renovation of the building. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about where we are in that transitional phase of the JFAC.
Sure. Well, you're right. It's been a long process. The entire campus community has had to be flexible and make adjustments over the last 2 years as the facility's been going through a renovation and addition process. But we're back in. The students are in classes. They're having their rehearsals back in the Johnson Center again, instead of the Jurdy Dining Hall, which actually I thought was kind of unique to have band in the old dining hall. But the students didn't like it so much, and they're for obvious reasons. They're back in an acoustical environment that's really friendly and welcoming, and they have some practice facilities now that are just state of the art.
Right.
The new practice technology and the rooms that they're utilizing is the finest they'll find anywhere in the nation, and it's right here at Northern State in Aberdeen. And so our students are getting a really good experience. The faculty are enjoying being back and having a home. During the renovation, we actually had faculty set up in cubicles in the dining hall, didn't even have an office for 2 years. And so there was a lot of displacement of the faculty during that time, and it made things really, really tricky when it came to scheduling. But we're really excited to be back in. The finishing touches are being put on the building right now. The last major part of the completion of the facility will be the steps on that east side that face towards State Street. But the building is accessible, and all 4 entrances are being used, and we're looking forward to welcoming the public for a real big open house concert on October 6th.
Right. Well, you hope that students like a renovation or a new building. And the way you can tell if they do is they kind of vote with their feet.
Right.
And the thing that you told me was about the first morning that school was open.
Yeah, the first morning that the building opened, on the Fine Arts Facebook page, one of the students posted a picture of all 8 practice rooms full at 6:30 a.m. They're all full at 6:30 in the morning, and the comment was, "Do you think we like the new Johnson Fine Arts Center?" Question mark. The answer is yes, and so they are using it. I get over there, 2 or 3 times a week and have a chance to walk through, and those rooms are always full and well utilized. So it's working out well so far.
Right, and I've noted in my time here that Northern and the Aberdeen communities have a great respect and love for the arts. And the Fine Arts Center on our campus really serves as one of the hubs of facilitating a lot of the arts and the performances. So I'm sure that our community will be very excited to come through the building and see the performances.
Yeah, I know they're looking forward to it. Our first big performance will be, actually next week we'll be having our NSU faculty potpourri recital. This is where all of the music faculty perform one piece. And so it's almost a variety show of sorts that showcases the entire faculty on campus.
Nice.
And so that'll be the first major performance. That'll be preceded by an art gallery opening. In the new art gallery, which is just spectacular as well. I walked through there at lunchtime today, and the exhibit is just outstanding. It's Kim Gary, one of our custodial faculty or custodial staff members here at Northern, and an incredible artist, photography and painting, and just some really great opportunities for the public to see the talents of one of our own staff people here at NSU.
Wow.
But you know, Three Dog Night then is coming up on October 6th, and that's something that we're really looking forward to. It'll be the first real big concert that utilizes the new online ticketing system, and plans are underway for that. The announcement for those tickets will be going out very shortly, and we anticipate ticket sales opening up on Friday of this week.
Right, and Three Dog Night, you know, I can date myself and say I listened to them when their songs were new.
Same here.
It's a reality,
Yeah.
but a classic band that eventually I imagine will end up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
They've been around and hit a lot of the top 40 charts
Yeah.
for years and years, and so we're fortunate to have this on October 6th as our big opening event to showcase this facility, and with a band that, well, people of a certain age really remember them fondly.
Yeah.
So it's pretty darn exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That entire week, as you know, is just a real busy and activity-filled week on campus. We have the Glenn Miller Band, which will be here on Sunday evening before that week begins, and then we have the Supreme Court will be on campus for 3 days, utilizing that main facility, actually holding court in the main theater of the Johnson Fine Arts Center. The stage will be set up as a courtroom, and there'll be 3 actual cases that they will hear on the main stage. High school students from across South Dakota and North Dakota will be attending that event. And then, of course, the large event on Thursday night with Three Dog Night.
Right. Kind of a big week.
Yeah.
Big week.
Big week.
So I don't know what we do on Friday. Maybe we breathe. Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. And then there's also, somebody told me about Clarinet Day. What is that?
There's this Clarinet Day, and Audrey Miller, our new clarinet professor at Northern, is bringing in her former professor from Arizona State, who happens to be my former professor, Bob Spring. He's the past president of the International Clarinet Association, absolute virtuoso on the clarinet, and one of our former students who is now pursuing her doctorate at Arizona State, Sheng Wen Wu. So both Bob Spring and Sheng Wen Wu will be here along with Audrey, and they've coerced me into trying to play something, but I don't know. I haven't had the clarinet out since May, so we'll see if that actually happens or not. But they put my picture on the poster, so I think that commits me.
obliged.
High pressure.
But that'll be a day that involves high school students from around the state and region who will be on campus for a full day of clarinet. So Dr. Ohmer might even get up and I understand you're quite a clarinetist from days gone by.
Quite a bad clarinetist. That might be the way to say it.
Yeah, well, I can say I've never been a clarinetist, so it's pretty safe that I won't be up there. If I do, I'd be faking it. But that's great. You know, it's really about us just having these types of events to celebrate
Right.
our faculty, our staff, our facilities, and bringing people to campus. The thing that we always want to do is bring people to campus, because when people come to campus and they see the physical facilities and then they meet everyone on campus, they're sold. It's into this mentality of, well, maybe I should come to Northern, part-time, full-time, undergraduate, graduate, online. You know, we can do it all. So it's just a good thing for us to do every day we possibly can. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I'd like to talk about is the business school
Okay.
has been hosting an international conference. So maybe Doug, you can tell us about the conference and how it's kind of transpired, and
Okay.
then maybe what we're doing this year, because it's
All
pretty
right.
exciting.
It is exciting this year. Yeah, the business schools hosted an international conference for 23 years. This year will be the 23rd year. I got into it in year 2 and helped develop it, so I've been part of it for a long time. And this year, the big exciting thing is that we're going to hold the conference in China.
Wow.
We'll be in Jinan, China, at the University of Jinan. And that came about because of 2 things that happened. One was the opening of the Confucius Institute here at Northern State. And last year, some of the faculty from the University of Jinan attended our conference in Rapid City.
Okay.
And they thought, well, maybe they would like to host us and help us have the conference in Jinan and truly make it an international conference. And so they sent the invitation when they returned, and planning has gone on for the past year. And so we'll have the international conference in Jinan, China, November 2nd and 3rd of this year. And so there are, last I heard, 18 different faculty coming from around the world. Mexico, Canada, India, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, plus I don't know exactly how many faculty will be coming from universities throughout China, but
Okay.
I haven't heard that number yet, but I know that an invitation went out to all across China, to the Chinese
good.
universities that have business schools. And there'll be 7 from Northern State going to attend the conference.
Okay. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to learn about China and talk about a lot of the business practices and principles that
Exactly.
are very much global focused.
Yeah, it's always been an interesting conference because we've always had people come from all over the world, and they like to come and talk about what goes on in their country in business and all different aspects, everything from accounting to management to tourism, and you get to share ideas. And I think one of the greatest things is that you build your base of contacts and your network at these conferences. And I still have contact with some of the first people that came to the conference back in 1995. And,
Right. And our faculty, as we constantly trying to globalize our curriculum, to teach the students about the world and the global economies, it's really helpful to go over to China, interact with people from other countries, because then our faculty can bring that back into the classroom and talk about different economic systems, for example, in different countries and how they're responding.
Right, and have experienced it firsthand.
Right.
It's so much different when you can talk about something firsthand from your own experience rather than from what you've watched on a television program or read in journals or books.
Right.
You're just so much better informed to have experienced that.
It's very enriching. And
It is,
all of
yes.
our students can't study abroad, but if we can bring information to them about the world.
Right, even if it's just a little piece, it
Absolutely.
makes a great difference.
It broadens their scope of view. Yeah, and then a lot of our international students that are here also do that as well. Give our students a different perspective because they're learning about where these international students are from.
Right. In fact, in my entrepreneurship class that I teach this semester, I have 2 international students, one from Scotland, one from Belgium.
Okay.
And both of them own their own business. They've started their own business, and so they're really inspiring some of the students here, saying, well, if they can start their own business and they're in school, I can do it too.
Yeah, that's ambitious.
It is, it is.
But that's what we want, and we want our students to be distinctive. I think as Josh was saying, we want our students to stand out when they go out for a job interview. We want them to be a person that is very much seen as an attractive leader that would fit well in a company and contribute to communities.
In fact, I've got quite a few that student athletes in the entrepreneurship class, and some of them are talking about, carrying on their careers and their business career, but building in the sports with it, of starting some sort of training program for young athletes and building a business around that.
That's great. Yeah. So that's a perfect segue. Thank you. I was going to ask Josh, what if we had to pick the top number of majors for our student athletes? Is there certain majors that they have gravitated towards that really seem to resonate with our student athlete population at Northern?
I think one of Northern's strengths is we have a diverse selection of majors, and so we have student athletes in all the different majors. We have student athletes in fine arts and education. What we see the highest number of student athletes in is right now is biology, business, and education.
Okay.
The biology field has been huge in terms of student athletes that are on the track to go to med school or pharmacy school, or getting into chemistry, and some of those paths. Been really good, very popular the last couple of recruiting classes. What can I do with biology? Where can I go? Can I I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor. So that's probably our highest population is biology, and then education is very strong. And within the education, they have some of the things that Dr. Ohmer was talking about, where there's some sport administration, sport marketing pieces, fitness management, some of those pieces in there. And then business is also very strong. We've had a lot of student athletes that have gone on, and a lot of alums have been very successful in the business world, in finance and accounting. We have a couple of former student athletes that are CPAs that have gone on to be president, CEOs of major businesses. So it's a great blueprint when you walk in here as a student athlete, saying you can really go and do whatever you want. Even a Ben Victor is somebody that has kind of came here because of athletics in some way, and he ended up being a world-renowned sculptor, and just a great story to tell of, you can see these people having a tremendous amount of success in the professional life because of the opportunities here at Northern.
Yeah, and one of the things I've seen with athletes is they're used to setting goals. So if they start to set goals in the classroom for their performance and challenge themselves, they can end up in pre-med, in med school, end up in law school, getting a PhD in the arts, or, it's just really refreshing to see that. And I've seen that, with a 3.4 GPA for our overall, all of our athletes last year, that's really high. It is very high, and it's a point of pride for Northern.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So, well, what's happening on a campus is interesting. Now, one of the things that we're always doing is we're trying to build facilities. Right now we're building a residence hall, and then we are in the process of contracting to build and design a second set of residence halls. Well, then you look at it and say, well, what about something that's more on the academic side? So Dr. LaFave, maybe you can tell us about where we are in the math and science building in terms of the process and how we're going to move forward with the design in this building.
Sure. Well, an architect has been selected, and that architect is working now in small group settings to identify what they call the programming and design phase of the building. They're coming to campus on 4 different occasions, starting very soon, with the goal of meeting with the executive team, meeting with the faculty, meeting with students to identify needs. What do you anticipate as being the needs moving forward? Not just what you need now, but what are you going to need 10 years from now for space, for labs, for classrooms, for teaching spaces, for research spaces, and those needs are being identified now through these series of meetings that the architectural team will be having with these various constituent groups. Very excited because this team has had a lot of success in designing award-winning math and science buildings.
Good.
A very strong track record, and so we're glad to be getting the process going, and then hopefully this will all wrap up in mid to late November. early December with the goal of you and I having the opportunity to present the findings to the legislature and show them what we have and what we're thinking about doing. So we're really pleased that the regents have endorsed the concept and the idea. We think this could be a hallmark facility for the campus. Biology, Josh was talking about it just a few minutes ago, is one of our largest majors on campus, and one that feeds the medical field and the science field very heavily. And so we know that that's going to continue to be a real strong part of our curriculum and our curriculum offerings at Northern. So anything we can do to continue building in the sciences and in the math area will be real good for the state.
Yeah. So this building is going to be a signature building.
Yes.
So we're looking at it, and it's going to be very visible. Coming onto campus, it's going to make a statement. So the design of it is critical. But I think, the faculty, rightfully so, are concerned. They want to make sure that we do a good job building this building, because you're going to build the next science building 50 years from now. So it has to last a while. So I was really excited when we sat through the process. The group that we selected has won national awards, #1 rated in how to design a lab. And that's something that I know a good lab when I see it, but I wouldn't know how to design it. So we had to make sure we hired the right people. And I think we did a good job there, because the credentials that they brought, in fact, all the people who were competing were exceptional. They were the finalists. But getting the faculty to then give us their feedback, because the faculty need to feel comfortable in that space, because it's a space where they'll do instruction, and then they'll do their research, and then they'll also be doing some research with students, which is the best of all worlds. So the students really see the research process, which prepares them, maybe as a biology student to go into a graduate program into medical school, because they've actually done scientific research in a well-equipped lab. So this is a big point for a departure. We're just going to have a building that everybody says, wow, look at Northern Science and Math building. The faculty are getting excited, and I'm excited that they're excited. It's just a process that we all have to be kind of comfortable with to make sure that we do a good job, because we're only going to build one of these every so often. And inside the buildings, what I've always said, you can have no building and teach. I think Plato did that. He didn't really have to have a building, and he did some decent instruction and educated a few well-known philosophers. But nowadays you have to have a building. But inside the building, what's really critical is the faculty and the staff, because they're the ones that bring the concepts to light, that everybody gets excited about the learning and makes things from one-dimensional to two-dimensional to three-dimensional, and that tactile learning. That's all the faculty and staff. So when we look at all the different colleges, I think in business we've had some new faculty and staff that came on, right. and maybe you could tell us a little bit about what's happening over in Lincoln Hall in the School of Business. Who's providing that new sense of energy for us.
We've got in Lincoln Hall, which went through its own renovation process just a few years ago, over a 100-year-old building. We have this semester 3 new staff members that have joined us and helped bring some excitement and new ideas into the business school as well as across campus. In the business school particularly, we have Nate Roberts, who is one of our new professional advisors for students. And Nate also acts as the coordinator for our Center of Excellence in Entrepreneurship and International Business. He just joined us a few months ago. Was actually a graduate of Northern, come back to work for us. He has his bachelor's in environmental science from Northern, and then got a degree in political science from the University of Nebraska, Omaha. And a third direction, he's working on a master's degree at Penn State in geographic information systems. So he's a new exciting addition. And then as well, Jennifer Bangs has joined us as well as an professional academic advisor in the School of Business. And then she is also, for the university, serves as the study abroad coordinator. So she helps not only business students get through their degree programs, but also helps any student across campus who would like to go overseas, whether it's for a short 2-week summer program or for up to a year and study at one of our partner universities.
Great.
Anywhere in the world. And in fact, she just left yesterday. Everybody is quite jealous. She is off on a trip to Japan for the next week or so. And she actually, her husband lived in Japan and Germany for many years. He was in the military, and so she has a lot of experience and can bring that personal experience to help students who go to live overseas and study overseas from her own experiences doing that herself.
That's great. I mean, it's exceptional when students can be hosted or supervised so they don't miss things when they go.
Right.
And
It makes their life overseas so much smoother and easier.
Right.
When someone here has got their back and is there, should something develop while they're overseas.
Right.
And then as well who understands how difficult it is just because of time difference. And then
Absolutely.
complicated by language and many other things.
Absolutely. Now, Al, we also have Lee Nyes, who reports to you. Again, kind of dovetailing off the international experience. She's heading up our international office.
Yeah, she's our new director of international programs, and we're really excited to have Lee back. She was actually a student volleyball player, athlete here many years ago, and has some previous experience at Northern, but most recently was at the University of Minnesota Duluth, where she served in a similar role and headed their Confucius Institute, so she's very familiar with that kind of a structure. We also have 12 additional new faculty and staff on campus. I won't go through each and every one of them because we don't have enough airtime to get through them, but I can tell you that they're being mentored very well by Rick Diaz, who's in our professor of history in our College of Arts and Sciences. And they all have an individual faculty mentor with whom they're working this semester to answer questions and the procedural things, policy things, and get advice on how to be successful in that first year of university teaching here at Northern. We're very, very pleased with this new cohort of faculty, and in speaking with all the deans, they're very happy with the work that's being done early on in the semester.
Right, and new faculty and staff bring a different perspective. Maybe ways they've done something different where they were before, or a new theoretical perspective, and new methods for instruction. It just gives an infusion of innovation and energy that helps us, move even faster and at a better pace or with a different worldview, which is nice.
It's even exciting as a professor that's been around for a while to work with someone who's new and gets you to reflect back on what it was like in your first days in the first year, and you can lend that insight and then numerous years of wisdom to that as well, and help those new colleagues along in their path.
Absolutely. My mentors when I was a junior faculty member, I'm still in contact with. They're people that pulled me aside and said, you might want to try this. I'm like, okay. And then, hey, that worked pretty good, So that's what's nice about higher education. It's a learning community, and we can teach each other and help each other do our jobs better for the benefit of the students.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the student experience. One of the people that is a faculty member that also is in charge of bands, maybe we might talk about him, because since the band is such a prominent piece of Northern, and it actually contributes to our athletic functions. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about Professor Olson.
Yeah, we were able to bring Dr. Rolf Olson to Northern after a 25-plus year stint at USD. He's a trumpet player. He's toured with Ringling Brothers Circus. He's quite a fine performer and conductor, and he's someone that many of our music faculty have known for many, many years, some of them all 26 of those years. Very successful high school band director prior to his work at the University of South Dakota, where he built a very strong program. And due to a late resignation this summer, it happened to open up very late, and he was interested. And so we were very fortunate to land him, and I know the students have already enjoyed working with him, and have the faculty.
Right. Well, that was one of my first weeks on campus, and Al came to me and said, we just lost our band director. I believe it was in July.
Yeah.
And that's when you see the sweat coming off the brow of the dean or the provost, because TikTok, the year is going to start very
Yes.
soon. So we feel very fortunate to bring in a real veteran
Yeah.
that knows South Dakota.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I believe that'll help us sustain the quality of the band, but also it'll be really helpful for recruiting because it has a great reputation in the region.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. Nice
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Well, it was either that or I was going to have to do it, so I'm glad I'm glad he's here.
You're going to be directing bands and being provost.
Yeah, that would have been a challenge.
You have to print on both sides of your business
Yeah,
card.
yeah.
Absolutely. That would have been a long year.
We're glad he's here.
Yeah. Well, you know, when we think about universities, we're in a competitive environment. We compete for students. We compete to be highly ranked and evaluated by whether it's accreditation agencies or disciplines or U.S. News and World Report. We all get stuck in this competitive world. Not to be outdone, athletics, that's the realm you live in. And when we think about it, everybody might not be aware that we're part of the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. And what that means is that there's X number of schools and we compete with each other for kind of an annual ranking. I was wondering maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, Josh, because that's something that not everyone's probably aware of.
Yeah, the Northern Sun Conference has been around for many years, and it's gone through some additions in recent years. And there's 16 members, so it's North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Iowa. So very wide footprint there, and Northern's probably right in the middle here with, in terms of the region, competing against small public, small private, and then very large institutions like Minnesota Duluth and St. Cloud and Mankato. So very competitive conference, probably arguably the toughest athletic conference in the country. So there's 300 plus Division II institutions, NCAA Division II institutions in the country, and I think around the country it's widely seen as probably the best conference. So for us, that's great. The bar is very high, and we know where we want to go, and that's really the top four of the conference. And we've made great strides the last 3-4 years. We were 13th out of 14th 4 years ago, and we just finished this last year in the all sports standings. We finished 7th with our highest point total we've had in history. So just a credit to our amazing coaches and student athletes, and believing into this culture of excellence that we're not done. We want to get to crack that top four and eventually get to the top of the conference. That's our goal, and it takes a lot of resources, a lot of scholarships and facilities to get there, but we've got great people behind us, and I think we've got a university leadership and faculty. Everybody's on board and believing in what we're doing from the athletic side. So that's what it makes it really exciting to be here.
Yeah, so that's good. So during your tenure as athletic director, you've been able to work with all the coaches and staff, and we're on the rise, so to speak. That's nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the student performances on the field I've seen, they really play with heart, and we know that they pay attention in the classroom. So that's the best combination of both worlds.
Definitely.
So I'm sure that there's great things to come in the future.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the community support for athletics, I mean, how would you describe that? I haven't come up with a real pithy sentence yet to describe it, but I can really feel it.
For our size institution, it's really second to none is probably the best way to say it. And when we talk to recruits from all over the country, and they're just amazed when they come in here and they see all these statistics with for instance, basketball attendance, and 9 straight years leading NCAA Division II in basketball attendance, but even football and volleyball, we had 2,000 plus fans for volleyball last year. So it's great that people are starting to take notice of this in the national level, where this weekend we'll have ESPN3 broadcast for a football game, and that's something we've never had done before. It's exciting for our campus to be able to be on that platform, or you can be in California and pull out your phone and you'll see Northern State on there, and I think it's great for this entire campus, and really a credit to this community and how supportive they've been over the years. And when you see our student athletes walking around town, the grocery stores or wherever they're at, people are talking to them and engaging them, and I think that's you don't see that very many places, and we see it when we travel, where a lot of times we'll have more fans than the homes teams do, and I think it goes back to being a privilege to be a student athlete here, and I think our student athletes really embrace that and appreciate that, and hopefully give back to the community too that's so supportive of us.
Well, I know that I've really sensed it You know, people talk about sports, and just the other day I went up to the box to get my newspaper, and one of the neighbors said, "Great game," or "What about hey, the soccer team did a great job this weekend." And it's the teams from Northern are really almost adopted by the community. So they're our team,
Right.
not the university's team, which is a great thing for the university and the students and the student experience. And I'd imagine it's the same way with the bands and student performances and theater performances. It's our fine arts center. So that's really an advantage that we have in Aberdeen, and that Northern is a beneficiary of.
Right.
Yeah. So makes it a special place to work. Now, when we talk about what do we do for students to make it a value-added experience, I think, Doug, you're taking some students somewhere in Europe this summer?
Well, we're in the planning stages right now, myself and Dr. Barkley, one of my colleagues in business. We're planning a trip to Germany for this coming summer, 2 weeks, a week in Hamburg, a week in Berlin. Excuse me, not Berlin. We scrapped Berlin. We decided on Munich.
Okay.
Hamburg and Munich. And we actually were kicking around the idea sort of quietly, but after Dr. Barkley's trip to Scotland this past year, students in the first week of school were coming up to him and me saying, "What's the next trip? Where are we going next?" And so we decided, well, let's do Germany. Because we both felt, well, I've been in love with Germany for quite some time. I went on my first trip there and out of high school in 1977. And I can't even tell you how many times I've been back to Germany since then. I'd have to stop and really think and count.
Wow.
But Dr. Barkley's first time was in Germany. I went with him, and it was 3 years ago this summer. We both went to teach at one of our partner institutions in Schmalkalden, Germany. And he fell in love with Germany, and so we wanted to go back and do a trip for students. So we're looking at taking maybe about 20 students with us. In Hamburg, we're already making plans to visit the Airbus assembly facility where they put together the big A380 jets.
Oh, neat.
And probably a trip to a pretty ancient city, the city of Lübeck, sort of a one-day trip to see the old trade halls, and was a big salt trading center in the Middle Ages. And then we're put an inquiry, and we're waiting for an answer to see if we can get a tour of the Steinway Piano Factory in Hamburg.
Nice.
So something you might be interested in, Dr. LaFave.
They have to jump along.
Yeah. And then in Munich, we're looking at tours at the BMW assembly factory. When in Munich, too, you've got to go to at least one beer hall and brewery. There's 5 big ones there.
Right. Cultural experience.
Cultural, yeah, absolutely. And then maybe a side trip, one-day trip to Salzburg, Austria. And then more on the historical side, but I think something that's important for all people to experience, probably at least a half-day trip to the Dachau concentration camp.
So there's a good culture, history.
Well-rounded package in 2 weeks, plus with the trip a course in comparative business practices between the United States and Germany.
That's good. So the history parts and the culture, almost lessons in anthropology, because you're looking at different norms and how people, how societies operate.
Yeah, and hopefully we can, through some of my contacts, get some real Germans to interact with us at more than hello, how are you today sort of level.
Right. I personally went to Germany once to go skiing. It was on my bucket list.
Okay.
And it was just an exceptional experience. The people were wonderful. The food was outstanding. I went to Munich and then into Bavaria. And it was a wonderful experience. So it's a must-do. So it's great for our students to see different parts of the world, Asia, Europe, and other parts of the world. So then they kind of get this world view of, oh, this is how things are done in places other than the United States or South Dakota.
So, I have students who, come from very small towns, and I remember one of my first advisees came from Hitchcock, South Dakota, not too far south of Aberdeen, and Aberdeen was an adventure for him. He said, "You have stoplights here." And, for students who, maybe their families farm or they just don't have the money to travel,
Right.
getting that opportunity while they're still young and in college and being able to take advantage of that is, I think, something that's just critically important.
Well, it sounds like a great experience. I hope all the logistics work out and the students have a great experience. It sounds
We're waiting right now on the airfare to come back from the airlines for a group tour. So
right.
we try to keep it as inexpensive as possible for the students, but still ensure that it's a quality package
Right.
for those 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Now, what about if we look at athletics? If you had to give us kind of the landscape of 2016, 2017, are there any preview comments that you could give us, Mr. Moon, about what's happening and what's on the horizon?
Absolutely. Well, we started off with football this last weekend. We're very excited what the football program is heading from when Coach Stosh took over 6 years ago to where it is now. Won our first ever division championship last year, beating Duluth and St. Cloud the same year. I'd never done that before. Just a great group, great culture with the football program. So really excited with where that program is going. Soccer is on the rise. We're excited to see where they're going to head. Volleyball is currently ranked in the top 15 in the country. So they finished last year with 25 wins, school record. So they're doing very well with almost a completely new lineup, which is very impressive to see them do that. And then basketball, of course, is very rich tradition, and exciting to see where they're going to. We expect big things this year in both men's and women's basketball. Mm-hmm. As do our fans, of course. They want to see that perform at a very high level, and we think they'll be very competitive this year. And another program, it's a neat story, is wrestling. Wrestling a couple years ago was not very good, and we didn't have many student athletes on the roster. And I think in 2 years we'll see almost a complete 180 turnaround with that program, where we had a national runner-up last year in Joe Gomez, who's a 3.9 biology student, great leader on campus. He's going to be in the mix to hopefully be a national champion this year, along with maybe 4 or 5 All-Americans, and win a bunch of dual meets. And then we've got our track and field cross-country program. Just great progress with that program. Sasha Hoveen's currently a 7-time All-American from a small town in North Dakota who didn't have a lot of success in high school and came here, and now she might go down as one of the best student athletes in our history in track and field, which is pretty amazing to think about. You talk about opportunities and what Northern and what can do. She's a 4.0 student in education, and she's going to be hopefully a 10-time All-American by the time she's done, which is phenomenal if you think about that, where she's come from. So it's those kind of stories that I think the fans want to hear, and again, I think that's the role of Northern, is giving them the tools to be successful, and they go out and hit it out of the park every time. So we're excited for this year. We got a great group of coaches and great student athletes that are focused and driven to succeed.
Yeah, well, it adds an energy on the campus when you can go to events and see the students either competing academically or athletically, or just challenging each other, maybe even at a game of pool.
Yeah.
Just that spirit, which I've seen on campus these past few weeks. It's really an exciting thing. Any other comments you would like to share? Any tidbits about things on the horizon? Don't want to miss anything.
I will mention one other thing with the Fine Arts Center. In November, the Moscow Ballet will be here, and they'll be doing a performance of the Nutcracker.
Oh, nice.
And those tickets, I believe, are already for sale online.
Oh, excellent.
And so 2 real watershed significant events in the fall semester. So we're looking forward to doing more of those throughout the years to come, and getting the public into the facility so they can see and experience it for themselves.
Maybe a little bit of a contrast. We have the Nutcracker, and then we have 3 Dog Night.
Right.
But that's the arts,
Yep,
and you can
that's
see
right.
all of it,
Yep.
and you don't have to go far to have excellent performances.
Right.
Absolutely. Anything from athletics or?
Lots of stuff going on. This weekend's the ESPN3 game. We're really excited about that, and just being picked for that is a big deal for us. And giving out 5,000 T-shirts, and just be a very, very fun event. And hopefully the Wolves will get a W. We're excited.
Absolutely.
I know I am, and I think I can speak for the rest of the faculty. Just super excited to get back in the classroom and have a great semester in front of us.
Yeah, absolutely. The energy that hits campus as soon as the students show up,
It makes
just,
the difference.
oh yeah, it just changes the complexion of the whole institution. It's nice in the summer, but it's great when they get back and we get into that high energy mode. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Well, today's show has been, some people might look at it and say, well, this is a very eclectic show. But the thought was, let's talk to the faculty and figure out, how the faculty are feeling and what the faculty are seeing is on the horizon, and how the faculty really are our thought leaders, and they own the curriculum and they drive the curriculum and change, and they're the ones that really deliver to the students. I mean, I talk to students randomly. I have not lectured here. I used to love to teach, but I'm not in that capacity anymore. But that's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. And the learning happens across the board. It happens a lot in athletics. There's a lot of teaching, there's coaching, and there's life coaching. How to prepare yourself as a person that sets goals, achieves those goals, becomes a leader, and does things in the community. And then when we look at the whole academic sector, Dr. LaFave is charged with that whole academic sector. It's a very vibrant group of people. We have a great set of deans, chairs, and faculty, and their energy is what feeds all of us to see how we can improve constantly as an institution. So we thought we'd just have this show as this multifaceted perspective of, hey, here's what's happening, and here's the people that are kind of the movers and shakers on campus. As always, we thank everyone for their interest and support of Northern. Northern is a special place. I noted that immediately the first time I stepped on campus. We hope that everyone in the region, on campus, off campus, and in Aberdeen, really says, I love Northern, and I will continue to love and support Northern. We think that NSU is just this place that is special and will continue to be special. So with that, we thank all of you for your interest in watching this show. Please come out and support our students, our student athletes, our student performers. Thank the faculty and the staff for all that they do to sustain Northern in this excellent tradition. And as always, we end every show with Go Wolves. Thank you, and have a nice day.